1. The unexpected guest in the house. When I was about 15. My best friend Chris and I were bored one Friday night, so we decided to play hide and seek in my house while my parents were out. To make it more exciting, we turned off all the lights except for a faint one in the kitchen. Chris hid first. I counted to 50 and started my search. After checking the bedrooms upstairs, I swore I heard shuffling in the guest room. I froze but then dismissed it. It was probably Chris trying to mess with me. I eventually found him hiding in the basement. We switched. I hid under the bed in the guest room. A few minutes later, Chris came upstairs. I heard his footsteps enter the room and stop right next to the bed. I held my breath, terrified he'd found me. After a long silence, he walked out. I waited a bit longer and then crawled out, thinking I had won. I went downstairs to find Chris, but he wasn't there. I called out. A voice, Chris's voice, answered from the basement, asking where I was, saying he was still looking for me. My blood ran cold. I told him I was in the kitchen. He came upstairs looking confused, swearing he had checked the guest room and heard someone moving and breathing in there. We argued, but decided to drop it. A while later, as we sat downstairs with the TV on, a heavy thud came from upstairs. We stared at each other, knowing we were alone. Then, clear as day, we heard slow footsteps walking down the upstairs hall. We snatched up a fireplace poker and crept up the stairs. The guest room door, which I had left ajar, was now closed. Before we could move, a slow dragging noise, like fabric across the carpet, came from behind the closed door. We screamed and ran out the back door, sprinting to Chris's house. The police found nothing, but we both knew that in the silence of my home, a third person had been playing our game. 2. The figure in the dark woods. Growing up, my friends and I loved playing manhunt in the large stretch of woods behind my house. It was always more thrilling at night, when the dense trees swallowed the moonlight. One August night, there were 5 of us. Jason was the seeker. I hid behind a large fallen log deep in the woods. While waiting, I heard heavy footsteps crunching through the dry leaves. I assumed it was Jason and held completely still. The footsteps stopped right near my log and stood silently for a long time before moving deeper into the forest. When Jason called the game over, I came out and told him he had walked right past me. But Jason insisted he had never gone that far into the trees. He had only searched near the edge. Twice more that night, as I played seeker, I heard those distinct heavy steps that sounded human. But I could never spot anyone, and none of my friends claimed to have been in that area. In the final round, I crouched down in the tall grass near the edge of the woods. After a few minutes, I heard a sound that made me tremble, a low, close whispering. I couldn't make out the words, but it was right next to me. Then the heavy footsteps started again, moving past me and into the darkness. When the game ended, we gathered in the yard. My friend Matt, who was 10, was quiet. He then asked if anyone else had seen the tall man in the woods. He said that while he was hiding, he saw a tall, motionless figure just standing between the trees watching us. We packed up and went home immediately. We never played in those woods again. The unsettling feeling of an unknown person lurking and watching us in the dark remains one of the most terrifying memories of my childhood. 3. The stalker who knew my house. Last July, my friends and I were playing basketball in my huge backyard in rural Pennsylvania. A kid we didn't know walked up from the dirt road. He was a few years older, with messy black hair, and introduced himself as Keith. He immediately suggested we play manhunt, claiming my yard was perfect for it. Looking back, that should have been the first warning. How did he know my property so well? We agreed. Keith insisted on being a hunter first. I hid in the storage shed under a tarp. After a quick round, I was caught and we all regrouped. But Keith was gone. He had simply vanished without saying a word. We shrugged him off as a weird kid, but it was strange. That night, as I got ready for bed, I noticed a piece of old, dirty rope lying on the grass right beneath my bedroom window. I knew it hadn't been there before. Later, around 11 p.m., I was in bed when I heard faint, slow footsteps right outside my bedroom door. They weren't my parents. These were too quiet. They stopped right outside. Terrified, I locked the door. A moment later, I heard the front door of the house close. My heart dropped. I woke my dad, and he searched the house and the property with his shotgun, but found nothing. The next night, I woke up around 2 a.m. to a quiet, repetitive scratching sound coming from my window. I forced myself to peek through the blinds. Inches away, outside the glass, was a dark, tall figure. I screamed and ran for my dad. He burst out of the house and fired 2 warning shots into the air. The figure was gone. We never saw Keith again, but I always knew it was him. The rope, the footsteps, the scratching at my window. He had been looking for us while we were playing, and he had come back to finish his game.